Namaskar and thank you everybody for inviting me to this wonderful forum of Think India. I have always found the volunteers of Think India, especially the young people, very dynamic and no nonsense approach, and for that I want to congratulate you in a world where everybody just talks and nobody wants to do good groundwork. In this kind of an atmosphere, to protect yourself from the hype and actually on the ground doing good work is a very rare quality, and I must congratulate all the volunteers and the organizing members of Think India from the bottom of my heart. Today I want to tell you about not just the book, but what exactly made me get into this territory of investigative filmmaking. When I was growing up, when I was a student like you, there was a big problem in this country. Even now there's a problem. I was in Bhopal, and I want every student who's listening to this to listen to this very, very carefully, because this is where lies the problem of this country. Both my parents were freedom fighters. When I joined college in Bhopal, MVM, there were two student bodies. One was NSUI, another was ABVP. But I saw that whenever there was a argument or a fight, in those times, students used to fight a lot. There used to be a lot of physical fights. Very often police would come inside the campus. But whenever NSUI students attacked a bus, burnt a bus, or did something, the news report was always that students had a clash with the administration. अगर आप शायद जानते ना हो, उस वक्त में क्या होता था कि स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं वो धरना दे देते थे प्रिंसिपल के ऑफिस के सामने और सारा क्लासेस कैंसिल करवा देते थे. तो नेक्स्ट डे द न्यूज रिपोर्ट यूज्ड टू बी that students had a clash with the administration. When the ABVP students did the same thing, ditto, exactly the same thing, the news report would be outside goons came and protested or did a clash or something like that. And though I was on the leftist side, neither NSUI nor ABVP, but it made an impression in my mind. I was not on the left side because I had any leftist background. I was on the left side because I was always a seeker of truth. I always believed that in India, if India has to grow, we have to take our own values, strengthen Indian Bharati values. And I found NSUI very westernized, and I never agreed with that ideology. And somehow the leadership in my college of ABBP was also not great, because those students at that time spent a lot of time in college. So naturally, the leftist people at that time used to come and brainwash people like me, young students like me. They'll immediately tell me that, okay, we believe in socialism, everybody should be empowered, and the stories of exploitation of Dalits and blah, blah, whatnot, You know the story. I don't want to waste my time discussing that. But they were very smart in brainwashing. They will talk about the concepts of equality, freedom, all Western concepts. And when you are a young boy living in a society of scarcity, where the collective aspiration of middle class was somehow to get rid of struggle and send their children to America or UK. 90% of the students with me were convent educated. I was from Kendriya Vidyalaya. It's very easy as for a young boy to wanting to fit into that system, and which is why we start believing in all the Western concepts of democracy, Western concepts of liberty, Western concepts of equality, Western concepts of feminism, and Western concept of revolution. So I was always disillusioned with the way media was creating a narrative. I was disillusioned with the way intellectuals, my professors and the principal and everybody was creating a narrative. I have written about it in detail in my book Urban Nexus. As I grew up, I realized that the biggest problem in India is that we do not have access to truth. In this country, the biggest victim is the truth. What is truth? We encounter truth in 2-3 different manners. One is the primary truth. Primary truth is your own experiences in life and your own truth. How you see the world, what's your relationship with the world. You sit in meditation, you discover yourself, you discuss about you explore your own soul, the purpose of your life, and slowly you start finding the oneness of the universe. That is personal, private, and very, very primary. But everybody is not capable of interpreting the primary truth because nobody is so evolved or nobody has so much of time in day-to-day struggle to live in this world. People do not get time, and normally by the time you start discovering the primary truth, you are almost 50, 60, 70 years old. But what happens to the youth of this country? Youth of this country has to depend on the secondary source of the truth. It's like to learn swimming, you have to swim yourself. But to know what is the correct way of swimming or not go into the depth of the sea, you may drown or there is undercurrent in this river. So the wise people, the experienced people of the village will tell you, beta, you are going to swim in Ganga, but don't go there because there is undercurrent or there are crocodiles there or it's very difficult current over there. You'll get washed off or the crocodiles will eat you up. So you learn from the experienced people. That is the secondary. And the third and the tertiary is primary reporting. 2 crocodiles were sighted in the river, so you understand that, okay, you should not go there. Or it's going to rain tomorrow. It's going to be heavy monsoon tomorrow. The weather forecast tells you, so you don't cross the river because it can just bubble up or there can be flood in the river. You won't be able to come back. These are the simple 3 ways. So primary, secondary, tertiary. The most important in making up your mind are secondary and tertiary. Now, the secondary is through education or through government sources or through the free intellectual world. Now the problem is that the government for 60, 70 years, which was Congress, was controlled by the colonial mindset, and the colonial mindset was of babus, of ICS officers who laid down, yes, Baba Sahab definitely along with 15 great women and other men wrote the constitution, but if you look at our constitution is very, very heavily influenced by the British mindset. It does not take from panchayati system. So we got entangled into a very bureaucratic process where government had complete control over the information. On the second hand, government controlled education system also. And the Congress of that time did a barter system with the communists because Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru and all these people needed the support of communists to survive. So therefore Indira Gandhi had a very clear-cut barter and kind of a deal with the Communist Party that, okay, you give me support, in return I'll give you art, culture and education. And Professor Nurul Hasan became the education minister, and he appointed all the communist and socialist people who were working directly under KGB and later on under China. They took control of this entire system, which tells us the history, and through art, literature and cinema, which tells us the story and the socio-political perspective of the society. And the tertiary sector was media. Now the government and these intellectuals immediately realized that the best way to control the minds of the people is to control the media. And the KGB started bribing the journalists and took them under their fold. You must have noticed, a very important point I am telling you, must have noticed that very often the communists and these lefties always blame the nationalist people, the right-wing people, all these boys and girls of Think India, ABVP, basically the people who are Indians, that there are no intellectuals in the right wing. You must have noticed that. They always blame RSS of being not intellectual. Now let's just discover what is this intellectual thing. It simply means that intellectuals have truth and people who don't have truth are non-intellectuals. But what is truth? The government, the babus, IAS officers, the education system, the media, all these people have controlled a certain narrative which suits the family, which suits KGB, which suits multinational companies, which suits capitalists, which suits the corrupt people. Now they are the custodians of the truth, and the poor, simple, middle class people, the housewives, the teachers, overseers, clerks, all these people who are working hard to make this country strong day and night, people who actually got us freedom, suddenly they are told that you are not the custodian of the truth. So if you don't have the information, if you don't have the media, how can you have anything? Then it's very easy to pass on the blame and they say that these people are not intellectuals. But do you know that more than 90% of the scientists in India are nationalist people of the right ideology? Do you know that besides the main media of these English-speaking media, if you go and see the local media in every city and villages and small towns, they are all nationalists. If you see the teachers at a lower level are all nationalists. If you look at most of the Hindi literature, Telugu literature, Tamil literature, you will find that the people who are not published by the international and the so-called glamorous publishing houses are all nationalists and hard-working people. Aren't they intellectuals? I have also written 2 books. I am giving speeches at least 15-20 times a day. I write columns in international magazines. I have given lectures in Oxford, Harvard, Yale. You name top universities of the world, I have gone and given lectures there. But they would say, I am not an intellectual. Why? Because they are building this narrative. And this is the problem with this country, that the truth and the information was captured, or I would say hijacked, by the corrupt governance of 60-70 years. And that's where we lost. Who has done most groundwork? You go anywhere in India, you see the real honest NGOs which are working on the ground are all nationalists, and they will have the right-wing ideology. And if you come to the cities, all these wine-drinking NGOs who conduct their meetings in 5-star hotels, drinking champagne, who are least concerned about India or Indian people or groundwork, they are all of the communist or the Congress. They have got the support and the moral support from Congress government, or moral support from all these corrupt people. So India is divided between 2 people who are trying to build India, and there are people who want to control the idea of India. You understood? So there are people who just have what is called faffing in English and slangs, means people who theoretically and intellectually have an idea of India, and there are people, if you look at them, their feet always have cracks. Their hands are wrinkled. Their faces are tanned, because they are out in the sun working hard to build this India. And this truth nobody has told. The truth you are told, outside goon students, NSUI students, whereas अखिल भारतीय विद्यार्थी परिषद के नाम में ही शब्द है विद्यार्थी, पर उनको विद्यार्थी नहीं माना जाता है. जेएनयू में भी आपने रिसेंटली देखा होगा, फोटोज आई थी जब क्लैश हुआ था, सब कह रहे थे कि आउटसाइड गून्स हैव कम इन. मैं जब जादवपुर यूनिवर्सिटी गया था और मेरे ऊपर जब अटैक किया था, तब भी मैं थिंक इंडिया के साथ ही वहाँ कोऑर्डिनेट किया था. So the students who were doing my screening were the students of Jadavpur University, but in very small numbers. Then outside people came and attacked me. And those outside people were, some of them were communist professors of some other college. But next day, on all TV news in Calcutta, the news was that outside goons came and they were organizing the function. How is it possible for outside goons to come and organize the screening of Udaina traffic jam? Tell me, anybody in common sense can say that? So, lies are converted or made to be perceived as truths, and truth has been perceived as lies. Idiots are perceived to be intellectuals, and real intellectuals are perceived to be non-intellectuals. This is the biggest tragedy of this country. I said, I will fight it out. And that's how my journey began. Second, this was the first important part. You have to understand that truth is being manipulated, truth has been deformed, and it has been served to innocent students of India right from kindergarten to the university level. And therefore, in their minds, they start believing that people like Ramchand Guha is telling you the correct history. If you look deeply, he has nothing to do with history. He does not even have a degree in history. That's why you will find that newspapers and magazines will tell you that Mr. Devdutt Patnaik, a leftist, a communist who distorts Indian Hinduism, is a Hindu scholar. Whereas the real Hindu scholars they speak Hindi, simple people, they wear dhoti and kurta puttika, and they live in Jabalpur, they live in Raipur, they live in Banaras, they live in Allahabad, and nobody cares about them. They are not invited on television channels. Their columns don't publish in Times of India. Nobody cares about them. We have ignored our own people, so I said I'll fight for them. And this is how my journey into Lal Bahadur Shastri's life begins. Second thing I questioned, why we always have to choose between Mr. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or Ambedkar Sahab or somebody else. Why the people of this country don't know anything about Rajendra Prasad ji? Why nobody knows about Shama Prasad Mukherjee ji? Why nobody knows about Lal Bahadur Shastri ji? Why we have forgotten about these people? जमीन से जुड़े जो लोग हैं, जो कॉलोनियल माइंडसेट के नहीं हैं, जो ज़मीन में अपनी माँ के पाँव छूने के बाद थाली के आसपास पानी डालते और कहते माँ तुमने खाना खाया और फिर खाना खाते हैं, जो शास्त्री जी करते थे, रोज़ाना करते थे, पूरे 20-25 लोगों के परिवार के साथ खाना खाते थे. तो इस तरह के लोग जो ज़मीन से जुड़े हैं, भारतीय प्रथाओं से जुड़े हैं, इन लोगों को ये देश इतनी जल्दी भुला कैसे देता है, क्यों देता है? तो ये जो सिस्टम है, आई थॉट आई विल फाइट विद दिस सिस्टम. एंड आई सेड, व्हाई आफ्टर 50 years we don't know the truth about the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, and if we don't know the truth of Prime Minister's death, which means the common citizen has no right to truth in this country. Therefore, the primary theme of the film, though I have used this, but the primary theme of the film is that we should have right to truth. It's time that we have right to truth. Now coming to the book, because film everybody has seen, so I don't want to talk much about it. Now looking at the book, this book, though one can think that this book is based on what is in the film, but actually it is not true. This book tells you what is the primary theme of the book is that what is the role of simplicity, sacrifice, and spiritualism in politics of India. And without these three important pillars, simplicity, sacrifice, and spiritualism, it is not possible for a politician without these three things. It is not possible for the politics without these three things to make India a Vishwaguru. This is what this book is all about. This book is told, it's a journey between my father's secret diary and my assistant, who's a young boy, who's wondering what this country is all about, who are we, and me in the middle, trying to figure out between the past of this country, I am the present and the future of this country, and I figure out that what is the importance of these three things, because without these three things, simplicity, sacrifice, and spiritualism, we can never ever have truth with us. So in a way, this book is a very spiritual book. In a way, this book is a very Indian book. In a way, this book tells us that where we have gone wrong and what is the right way to follow. Just to give you an example, you ask anybody in this country about Naxalbari and Naxal movement, they will tell you. Every child, every student, every intellectual knows about it. Why do we have this Marxist, this Maoist, this Naxal movement? Reason they will tell you, because landlords used to exploit poor farmers and take away their land. And to free their land, the Naxal movement started. Why do we have Maoists in this country? Because the tribal people lose their land to corporates, industries, mining, and therefore to find them justice, we have this system. Same year when the Naxal movement started, in the East India, in West Bengal, same time in the Western India, in Maharashtra, one skinny man who never wore chappals, he also started a movement like this, which was called Bhudan movement. Naxals, if you ask them, how much land have you freed? How much land have you got from landlords and given back to the farmers? They can't answer. But this man got millions of hectares free from landlords without any violence, just by walking on the muddy path of our villages, and got millions of hectares free and gave it back to the villagers. His name was Vinoba Bhave. Based on the principles of simplicity, sacrifice, and spiritualism. And in the end, I am adding the fourth pillar of great Hindu philosophy, which is seva. Because without seva, simplicity has no meaning, your sacrifice will go waste, and spiritualism will never find the truth. Because the ultimate truth can be found only when spiritualism is combined with seva. These are the 4 discoveries I made. And this book is about that. Who killed Shastri actually means who killed truth in this country. Who killed Bhartiyata in this country. Who killed Sanatan in this country. This is what it means. I would like all the youngsters, and it's a very young book. I always address young people. The mission of my life is to empower intellectually, ideologically, and philosophically the youth of this country. I want to see India at least reaching the threshold of becoming Vishwaguru before I take my last breath in this country. Therefore, I have dedicated my entire life to helping the youth. This book is for the youth. I want all of you to read this book. And how these leftist people pick up rubbish and make that like a very popular book, and they create narrative. Our biggest problem has been that we have not invested in authors and books. We have not invested in literature festivals. We have not invested in films. We have not taken control of narrative because we are not manipulative people. A lot of people ask me why the right wing does not have an ecosystem. I say we do not have an ecosystem because we are not manipulative people. We are not political people. We are simple people. We are inspired by our mothers. We are inspired by our family, simple family system where one man works hard and he educates not only his children, but he gets his brothers, his cousins, everybody's children to his house, and he also pays for their education and looks after them. We believe in that. We come from that system, not the selfish, self-centered, manipulative, ambitious Western ideology where you go and invade somebody else's country and home and take their resources and everything from them and fool them. We do not come from a system where we want to rule people's minds. We come from a system where we want to share all our knowledge and experience, and which is why you will find the biggest mantra of Hindu philosophy has been that knowledge has no copyright. Copywriting is the Western system. Spreading knowledge, sharing knowledge is the Bharati system, and that's why you will see when people copy my speeches or from my I Am Buddha channel or my book and they distribute, I never ever object. Not even one penny I make from my knowledge. All these books are distributed through my foundation, I Am Buddha Foundation. Whatever I earn, I put that money into I Am Buddha Foundation. And through that foundation, we help young people. And I want to make an announcement here. We are starting 4 scholarships of 25,000 rupees each in next 1 week or 10 days. And whoever is listening, one on ecology, one on Indian values, one on Nari Shakti, Indian style feminism, Nari Shakti, and one on social justice. I want people to take this money, do research and write 100-page thesis or books which we will publish. I'll get them published, and I want to keep publishing 4, then 6, then 8 and 10 books every year only by the students, not by authors, so that I help create an ecosystem. And this book has given me so much of insight into understanding that today the most creative, most innovative students, if you will find, young people you will find, are in India, because in the West everything is given on platter. If you take the platter away, they don't know what to do. All their creativity and innovation goes for a toss if they don't have the comforts. You shut the AC, air conditioning in America, and you will find all the youth of America will not be able to do anything. But in India, the biggest advantage of Indian youth is that they have grown up with so much of struggle, so much of sacrifice, that the physical comfort doesn't matter to them. And my appeal to you would be that the physical comfort should be your last and the least priority. It is our duty. We are going through a very, very critical phase of humanity. For the first time in the history of humanity, the entire world has been locked up. This world, the new world which we are entering in, requires new ideas, innovation, creativity. Today, the same thing, jugaad, which the world laughs at, that jugaad should become our biggest strength, our intellectual knowledge, our simplicity, the DNA of spirituality should become our main resources. And I would appeal to all the students who are associated through Think India or indirectly to take this country forward irrespective of ideologies. Don't bother about parties or the governments. It is our country, our society. We owe it to, if nobody else, in the end, I would like to say, whatever I do is dedicated, is a tribute to the sacrifice of my mother, who wore just few saris, who used to eat whatever was left over. She would give the best comfort of the bed to us. Why was she doing this? To instill great values in us. The mothers of this country, big industrialists, they manufacture cars, aeroplanes, roads, bridges, all those high-tech things. But the mothers of this country, they manufacture bright young men and women like you. They build characters, and without characters, no country can progress. Therefore, you should always remember the sacrifice of your parents, especially your mother, and dedicate yourself to building this country, taking this nation forward, make it a Vishwa Guru. I would request you, read the book if you like it, talk about it, make sure that if somebody wants to gift on Diwali, Holi, on birthdays, let's not waste money on sweets because anyway it is not good for health. Let's not waste money on flowers. Let's not waste money on materialistic things. Spread knowledge. Anybody's book, gift that book. Make books, especially the books of nationalist thinking, the books which basically give insight into Indian mindset. Buy those books and gift it to somebody who's younger than you, so that young people get inspired by you. In the end, I would like to also inform you that I am starting another social service thing. It's called School of Creativity, which I am launching on 1st of December. All of you are welcome. This School of Creativity is based on Hindu philosophy. I have taken the core values from there, and I am teaching people how you can be creative and innovative to become successful, because in the end, all of us have to take this country on the path of success, which is possible only, like I told you, with the 4 pillars of simplicity, sacrifice, seva, and spiritualism. So all the best to all of you. Thanks for inviting me and joining and listening to me patiently. ईश्वर करे आप सबके जीवन में सुख और समृद्धि आए. जय हिंद, भारत माता की जय.